Let's get this video started again. Welcome to my notes on myself, what I do, what I don't do, what I did wrong, what I am learning. Nothing is wrong, what I'm learning, and hopefully these notes could spark some intention of awareness in your heart. For there are things that I was not aware about during my journey, and for those who wondered my journey, of course, it's the metabolic display of tumors, and we'll get into this in more details. In this video, I refer to myself as Moses. I'm using a free version of Canva, so you would see Canva all over this. Thank you, Canva, for at least supporting this work, and one day we would publish this and we would remove your logo, but at this time it's your support, so I appreciate it. So in my journey, I have learned in the last year from the Skylab. That's how I refer to my information source, which is not in this physical realm. I have learned that we should have note in our life from beginning of our physical existence, that your physical body makes okay use of glucose in the day. And of course, I'm referring to statements made in the, believe it or not, the Bible, that we should be consuming bread in the day, which is the source of glucose. Bread representing the source of glucose, the major source of glucose, which is going back to plants. I do not use the word carbohydrates. I like to be simple. So plants is the source of glucose. When it goes into your digestive system, it does not stay long in the acidic stomach, which is your first part of your major digestive function, apart from your mouth or esophagus down into your digestive system. Plants would try to move out of the digestive system of the stomach quickly to get into the small intestine for largely the production of glucose or the extraction of glucose in the small intestine using the enzymatic processes. As we all know, the glucose would then move into portal vein up to the liver. More or less, according to science, we have the glucose freely floating in the bloodstream where insulin is solicited, insulin being an amino acid structure that is created from amino acids, moving to help glucose and control blood sugar levels by shoving glucose into cells, all cells. But if you have a lot of muscle cells, they would not, and you are active. If you have a lot of muscle cells and you are active, or if you have a lot of muscle cells and you are in the sun, getting the red light from the sun, hey, red light therapy, then the glucose seems to be making its way into the cells quickly. Now the cells are the homes. We have trillions of houses, meaning every cell in your organs or in your muscles, apart from I think red blood cells, more than likely would be consuming glucose for an input to the mitochondria, who would then utilize this through various scientific pathways, which we would not discuss here, and make ATP, which is the end product. That is what we call the daylight process, and so it is instructive to understand plants consumption in the day comes with glucose, or it would give glucose, and that would go to the mitochondria. We get ATP production. In the whole ATP production cycle, you would notice that you have something called reactive oxygen species. Now, you would note that we would be taught that the waste product from the ATP production, the citric cycle, for those who know those things, there would be carbon dioxide and water. That's good waste. That's not a disastrous waste. That's carbon dioxide and water. You breathe out the carbon dioxide, the water is water. What is the harmful issue here is when you have mitochondria running its activity and it creates this loose little cannonball called ROS, reactive oxygen species, which is gonna move around like a little bullet very fast. Let me see if I get a video to show you. Yeah, so hopefully you understood what was going on there. These little things are what ROS is like in from the mitochondria. Now, to take care of these ROS when they are doing their to take care of them, basically to mop them up, we needed to have an antioxidant that is of the mitochondria's type. Now, the mitochondria's antioxidant is what is called the water soluble type. So we needed antioxidants to come in with our glucose, which would be vitamin C, and there are others. A glutathione could also be synthesized. It's a water soluble. So glutathione and vitamin C. Normally, when we would have eaten what we call fruits, which is really a very important structure for supplying glucose with, we would have gotten our vitamin C. But because we are now eating extracted substrates of glucose from the plants, and we call those the refined products of plants like bread, we put vitamin C no longer with the bread. We just have the glucose going in, because remember, bread would digest to give us glucose. What's not digested would go out in the toilet bowl. So the glucose goes in without vitamin C, and here the mitochondria runs its process, creates this little bouncing ball which I just showed you, and this little bouncing ball now does not have the vitamin C to lock it in and I guess deal with it. Now that happens that way. Now there is another substrate that could be used for energy, which is coming from let's say plants again, plant-based oil, which gives you fatty acid instead of glucose. Same process goes there to make into the mitochondria. Fatty acids could go into the mitochondria to burn, metabolize, and that would also may create a smaller amount of reactive oxygen species, which vitamin E, tocopherol in this case, comes with the plants from the oils. So if you look at your plant-based oils, you would find them having tocopherol. There are some plant-based oil that has a higher type of vitamin E, which is called the trianols, I think, and that is like the annatto-seed. This is a higher antioxidant that we need to supply when we are on the plant-based oils. So all that we are trying to do here is, when we supply fuel, we have to supply something to mop up the ROS, that reactive oxygen species, which is a little bouncing ball. Now when that little bouncing ball bounces from the mitochondria, it gets out to the membrane and it goes into the cells here. Okay, now when it comes into the cells here, you see there are some little one called ribosomes, like the little yellow one here, I would call it ribosome. They are making at the same time something called human protein. So they take amino acids and they make human protein. Let me just go through this here so you understand. So specifically, when you eat meat, you break it down into amino acid, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals, and this meat brings these things into your same cell, into the cells, and the cells are utilizing these things to make protein, human protein. So you do not eat these things to get protein, you eat these things to get amino acids. And the amino acids, especially the 9 essential amino acids, some say 8, some say 9, but let's say with the 9 essential amino acids, they get into the same cell just as how the glucose get into the same cell, but the glucose is going to the mitochondria, that is this one, and the amino acid is going to the ribosome. When the ribosome gets an instruction from the nucleus, so that is the mRNA message telling it to make A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it's just pulling in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, which are the names of the amino acids, and spitting out a chain of amino acids, which we call either enzyme, hormones, neurotransmitters, or we call it human protein. There are about 25,000 known human protein. Enzymes are human protein, neurotransmitters, hormones, everything that is made of amino acids are basically human protein. Now that is just scientific words and whatever. So they are taking amino acids and making chains of amino acids, and we call it human protein. This human protein, when it spits out here, sometimes it's just for the cell, sometimes it's for the for the ribosome itself, or from some other little organelle, including mitochondria. Maybe it's for them, but sometimes it is to send back into the bloodstream to go and repair somewhere else in the body. All right. For example, when we make insulin, that's what's happening. 52 amino acids come together, and it doesn't stay in the pancreatic beta cells. It goes back out into the blood to control glucose for all the other places where glucose needs to go in all the other cells. Now that ribosome is working, it's creating this protein here. So let's say it's creating this protein, and at the same time your glucose load, if you are doing this in the day, your glucose load is making reactive oxygen species when it runs through the mitochondria. This reactive oxygen species gets out of the mitochondria and says, I'm free, I'm the bouncing ball, just as I showed you in the video, and it starts bouncing into not just the organelles, it's bouncing into the organelles, it's bouncing into the protein. Now it may bounce off the organelle like a little trampoline, but it may bounce and break the protein that was just created. So the reactive oxygen species, if it is not given vitamin C or an antioxidant to clean it up, it becomes now a challenge for the cells. So this little red guy bounces into all the other organelles, including the nucleus and everything, cytoplasm and whatever else, and it bounces and breaks our protein, and it damages the protein. So therefore the protein is now seen as a bad protein, as we usually say in our human language, but it's not bad protein, it's a damaged protein, misfolded or that's what we discussed. And so we are discussing this, and now the nucleus is saying send down somebody to clean up this protein. And there is of course ubiquitation or ubiquination processes that will run to clean up the protein. They come and they clean up the protein, they take back the good amino acids, maybe the one that's bad, they throw that amino acids for the lymphatic system to pull out and for you to urinate. So your kidneys, is important to have your kidneys functioning, which is something I'll talk about in another video. Kidney functions to pull out all this waste. But the protein little mitochondria again comes back and it does the same thing. It says, hey, we ask you to make this protein A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, you got the message. Ribosomes come, pulls in amino acid and stitches them together and makes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and rests it here and says, okay, A, B, C, F, G, you should go. But at the same time, this little guy is still loose and he's just ricocheting all over and he's doing the same thing. But by that time, the nucleus gets angry and the nucleus sends to the ribosome. It says to the many ribosomes, make A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So they make like 10. And so the ball, the little ricocheting ROS comes and hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. That's 10 damage. And then the process continues. So we go from 10 to 20 to 40 to 60 to 80. And they're all getting damaged because nobody is taking care of this loose little cannonball called ROS, which should have been taken care of if we put vitamin C and vitamin E in our system. That happens over years and years. And what do you think is happening here? The cleaning process, they are the cleaning processors which comes out to clean the cells in the evening and at night. They don't have enough superpower to clean so quickly. So then all these places fill up of unused protein. And the nucleus is telling the ribosome mix protein, but the whole place here is now clogged up with unused damaged protein. The damage of the protein wasn't because of the protein issue, it was because the mitochondria made ROS, which is natural. It would make the ROS when it's burning glucose and it's not getting vitamin C and vitamin E. So the whole place here is filled up of protein that has to be pulled out, has to be recycled and recirculated, and that whole little place is filled up. And now ribosome is trying to make a new enzyme to do some cleanup, but the enzyme has no place to be created on. So it cannot create the enzyme. So even the ribosome gets stuck. The nucleus is sending more messages. Please make this enzyme to come and eat these things away. It cannot make it because there is no place to place it. Now, if at this time we were knowledgeable, as in my case, a fast would have helped us to move out some of the waste through the lymphatic system, even though it's full on, like let's assume that the protein did not break down into amino acid. At least if we fast for a day, a dry fast or something, you would be pulling out some of the waste, bringing it into the lymphatic system. Remember, the lymphatic system would bring it to the kidneys and you would urinate out some of this waste. You may recycle some of the protein down in the kidney. And then there might be a little space created, and then you might get a little enzymatic action to start eating down some of the bad damaged protein. The protein is not the problem. The problem comes about because of our consumption of the glucose. So you can't go and fast and say, oh, let me consume some more glucose. No, you should fast and say, let me consume some vitamin E and C to see if we could get rid of all these little bouncing balls called ROS, so that when we go into the fast position, at least we are not creating more broken things when the ribosomes run. We are not breaking stuff. And this is where the whole cycle of our detriment has come in. Our lesson today is saying, when you eat plants in the day, you might be more than likely consuming all your ATP. You may be consuming the glucose to make ATP, and you will be making ROS. Remember to tie in with your vitamin C and vitamin E, which are antioxidants. There are many other antioxidants. The goal here is for you to understand the word antioxidant. There are two types. Water soluble antioxidants is for ROS made immediately in the mitochondria in your daylight process, your ATP process. So vitamin C, vitamin E. There is also things like alpha lipoic acid. There is also, I don't know the rest, but there's a lot. I will look at it and I will get a list of antioxidant. Curcumin should have some good antioxidant. That is the turmeric. So when you mix the turmeric with the black pepper, you get the curcumin out of it, with a little milk. That would help. We need to load up with antioxidant to clean out ROS. Please, this information is not just for people with the big C. It is for all of us to prevent our bodies from making too much of ROS. Our cells making ROS would lead to a destruction of the cell by clogging up the cell. When you clog up the cell, they will tell you protein is the problem and you'll stop eating your most nutritious, most important substance. Of course, when you fast, you stay away from everything to clean up your body or to clean at the cellular level. But when you're cleaning at the cellular level, you have to start becoming aware. Have I placed enough vitamin C, vitamin E, and other antioxidant to help me? Am I drinking enough turmeric? If that is what you have, you don't have to go and look for expensive stuff. There's a lot we would learn as you follow me on this video. Just note that the Trio protocol, which you could purchase a copy of under there, says in the day consume plant-based in the wholest form, meaning with the vitamin C and the vitamin A, eat them in the whole form so that you have energy production. But when it comes to the night, cut out plant-based, because you will have glucose that will be coming in the blood in the night if you have plant-based coming in your stomach. When it's digested from your small intestine, you still would have glucose going in your bloodstream, which is another set of challenges. Remember, the mitochondria works highly when the sun is out and when you are in physical activity. When you are not in physical activity, we call that sleep or rest, you would not be utilizing so much of burning process of the glucose, which we call metabolism of glucose. You would not be doing so much of that. So ask yourself, what is happening with the glucose? It's staying in your blood pipes and bringing up your blood pressure and causing another challenge, which we will discuss in next video, which is called advanced non-enzymatic advanced glycation end products. Again, it is because of glucose being in the bloodstream, and when the protein leaves the cell, we will look at how the same glucose molecules could be sticking onto the protein and again creating another drama. Protein or glucose is not an issue. It is our awareness of what we are doing and when we are doing it. The liver makes the glucose that the body needs. We could do things differently. If you would like to have some more information about this type of development, we would be able to discuss in more details. Please look forward for the next video, which will be part 2, which we will discuss what's happening in the body in the night and why it is important to avoid glucose or any glucose sources in the night, and how we should improve our amino acids in the night, essential amino acids in the night, so that the ribosomes could create the protein in the night and have a free flowing pipe to send the proteins wherever the healing has to take place, wherever the repair has to take place in the night while you sleep. Thank you for viewing. Looking forward for your presence and your comment.